All right, joining me now on Inside the Tournament, Jessica McDonald. Amazing soccer career. Kind of finished it off with a run to the championship with the NC Courage at TST last year. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. How exciting. So I was excited when you guys actually contacted me to be on your podcast. So what a thrill. So thank you.
That makes me feel great. What a great start to the podcast. We'll start with this though. Your career looks a little different right now. We were briefly chatting about it. I think people would be, interested to hear what your life looks like right now.
Right now, I'm a mom of two. I have a third one on the way now. So I think now that I'm not playing, it's amazing being able to be at home with my kids more. Just because, my playing career, I had kind of a selfish mindset because I was so focused on, my playing career. I have a 12-year-old boy. So now it's just nice being home and being able to interact with my kids fully. But yeah, I just moved to Michigan beginning of this year and getting acclimated to, this area, but it's been awesome. And now I'm an analyst, a studio analyst for the NWSL. I do a little bit of color analyzing as well. And I also train every day. I still train every day. So I have a great group of people that I'm able to train with here every weekday. And that's what kind of helped me prep for TST this year, being able to train at next level training with Aaron Bird. He's such a great trainer, and a lot of pros and college players come here and train with him. So it's just nice to still have, football every day, still just being in somewhat of a team environment, but just a high intensity training session every day.
Well, the two things I take away from that, one, you're staying in TST shape for 2026, where
Yes.
you may not, have just had a child. And then two, I hear if you have kid number three plus yourself, that's four. You're halfway to a seven-a-side TST team. So I see what you're doing. You're building a future McDonald, TST seven-a-side team.
I absolutely am. And literally, since I was a little girl, I have always told my friends, and people thought I was crazy. They still think I am still to this day, that I literally want a 5v5 team. Like, I want five children, just to have a 5v5 team. So it's really funny you mentioned that because I always say, like, oh, yeah, I'm having a little basketball team or like a little 5v5 soccer team. So that's funny you just mentioned that, though, because that's kind of my goal here. So.
Well, that's great. We're obviously still years away from that, but let's talk about TST a little bit because I know initially it was like, yeah, Jessica McDonald's involved, and then it was like, no, Jessica McDonald's playing, and then you played, you were great, you guys made a run to the championship. So first, I just want to ask you, what was that week like for you in TST?
For me as an individual, I would say like my experience was so different than probably everybody's at that tournament, simply because I was about 5 months postpartum when I played in that tournament. And that was my first time playing since my last game in the WSL last season, once I went on maternity leave. So it was a lot for me mentally and physically, obviously, just still recovering from one of the toughest recoveries going through postpartum. But honestly, it was so amazing to get back into what felt like a real team environment and just being able to play the game that I love at such a high level. Like, every team was so talented. There was not a
Mm-hmm.
single game where we just brushed through teams. They're all very close. Like, it boiled down to the wire in all of our games. And it was even more amazing playing against friends as well. And so being able to make the championship was kind of somewhat of a surprise for me, just because when I put this team together, majority of my players, probably about 85% of my team, I didn't know personally. I did not know what to expect of them as players. And so looking at their CVs with soccer, I'm like, oh, okay, she plays beach soccer. Like, oh, okay, this one only played college soccer. She, hadn't played in this many years. So we just had such a variety of players on my team, and making it to the championship was just cherry on top. I did not know what to expect from my team. And so I almost felt like, and I hope the audience knows this movie because, I'm 36, I'm a millennial. So I almost felt like we're like the little giants in the tournament, like just all different types of players on my team and didn't know what to expect, make the championship and kind of proved ourselves in that tournament. So I thought overall, with the environment being in the Triangle area in North Carolina, North Carolina is my second home, and so is Wake Med as well. I've won multiple championships there, from NCAA championships, ACC championships in college, won an NWSL championship. And so being able to make the championship for TST was absolutely amazing. And I think, Wake Med kind of brings me a little bit of luck, but the experience overall was absolutely amazing. But for me personally, it was a physical and kind of a mental toll. There's so much going on, which is so great, for fans to be able to be there and being able to engage as well. So I love the whole setup for TST for the men and women side. And the fact that the tournament was televised too. My friends and family all over the place were able to watch the games, and the amount of messages and love that came toward me throughout that tournament was just amazing. Like, oh, I watched your game today. Oh, I watched the championship. Went to the airport after the tournament once it was over, and I had about six people come up to me like, "Oh, I just watched you play in the championship at TST," and I was like, "Holy crap!" So like, so many people actually watched the tournament. So overall, like the experience was really cool. I did not know what to expect, but overall, it was an amazing experience.
Well, one thing that caught us off guard was what you just mentioned. The NC Courage fans were like unbelievable.
Yeah, unreal. Yeah.
That was great to see. So, and you mentioned obviously you'd won championships for them with them, so I'm sure that was nothing new to you to see that support. But how great was that for you to be back, in Wake Med, repping the Courage and seeing those fans show up and support?
It was obviously an honor, complete honor. I got to see a lot of fans who have been huge women's soccer fans since, I played college at UNC at Wake Med. And so just being able to see the same fans in the stands, even at TST, was absolutely amazing. And it shows the support that the Triangle has in North Carolina. It is a soccer area. And so Wake Med was able to just, you know, put bodies in the stands. So I thought that was absolutely amazing being able to engage with, that type of fan base.
So you mentioned playing against friends and playing against stars. We had Allie Krieger there, Heather O'Reilly, Keelia Watt, so many more than just that. But who is TST missing? Who are you like, I can't believe she is not in TST, or this person needs to be in TST next?
Yeah, I had so many friends that I reached out to who couldn't quite play. I had some college friends who couldn't play either. Their athletic directors didn't clear them to play, but bread and butter for this specific player. She now plays for um, not Seattle, Spokane in the USLW League. She was playing for Manchester City, or excuse me, oh my God, Melbourne City in Australia, excuse me. And I had the privilege of playing with this player at Racing Louisville for a couple of years, and her name's Amina Ekic. She is phenomenal on the ball in tight spaces, and I was begging her to come and play. I know she's not this big name, but if you're from the Louisville area, you know who she is. She's on the Bosnia national team and just a baller when it comes to that 5v5 aside 7v7 type of field. And I needed her. I really needed her. I think we would have had the championship under our belts if she had played with us, but I would love for her to experience TST because she will be the star at that tournament.
That's interesting to hear. Honestly, that's what's happened the first 2 years is like the stars have been relatively unknown players to an extent.
Mhm.
But anytime there is a good player in TST, everyone around them is like, no, I knew this player was unbelievable. Or no, I played with this person here, especially on the men's side where like a lot of the teams are like unknown teams, unknown players, and then you look and it's like they were the best player in their college, they were the best player here, they were
Yeah.
the best player there. So that's what's super cool about TST, among other things, in my opinion, is like you mentioned it, all these people who haven't really gotten to be maybe watched on a national stage, at least in a while, their friends and family were watching every game. Potential teams to sign contracts with were, tuned in and watching games. So I thought that was really cool. Another thing that most people think is cool, target score time. I have to ask you about that. Every game, every match ends on a goal. What were your thoughts on that? And how much did it sting when that $1 million goal went through for the U.S. women in the championship?
Yeah, it stung big time, but I mean, they had a Tar Heel who scored the goal, so she's just Bella. She's just absolutely fantastic of a player. So not surprising that she was the one to score the banger against us, but yeah, that extra time, I had to keep asking our head coach, Susan Ellis. I'm like, so what are the rules again? Like, oh, we have to win by this many. Oh, we need how many more goals? Oh, okay, we need to score 3 goals, and then we eliminate one player every few minutes, and I'm like, okay, so it just every game we almost, we went into extra time every game, and every time I had to ask like, what are the rules again? So I thought it was actually really cool because it actually gives, let's say your team is down, like we were in the championship, it gives you a chance to come back some way, somehow. So we had a really good setup. We did have some very fit players. I had some practice players from the current North Carolina Courage women's team who is in shape, younger, and I'm like, let's stick with the younger players who can run all day. And so I thought that was amazing to be able to try and have a comeback, which we did for a few games in that tournament. Actually, we came back in that extra time, and I'm like, okay, we needed that. So I think it's very much so needed for the teams that are down, and it just gives them a chance to obviously prove themselves and try and win the game. And so we did that a few times throughout the tournament.
Yeah, it's crazy when there's teams who are down and come back and win. And what's also crazy, great, however you want to frame it, it's like the games just are never over. So in a 3-0 match, a 4-0 match, they're still fighting, they're still strategizing, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool for us to see because no match is truly over until it's over. So before I get you out of here, you've played at a bunch of different clubs, you've played with a lot of different people. Give me a club or two that's missing from TST that you would like to see get involved, or a team that's run by like individual player. Like what brand do you think TST would benefit from having and would benefit from being in TST?
Ooh, if I had to pick some teams, the two teams who stand out to me right now are Orlando Pride and Kansas City. I think that with the way that they have built their clubs within the last couple of years and having the superstars that they have right now, like a Tim Chawinga, I mean, just Golden Boot, MVP. I mean, you name it. She's getting every accolade this season, and I love the way that they're starting to run things for their clubs. So I think just not only showcasing themselves in the NWSL and just completely dominating, I think that they could, find their players and dominate at TST as well.
Those are two good ones. That would be fun for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna get you out of here. Before though, I lied. One more question. Favorite person that you interacted with at TST that wasn't on your team?
Oh, my girl, Carly Lloyd. Carly, she was obviously on the coaching staff for the USA team, and being able to see her pregnant in person, I was just so ecstatic for her. And she goes down as one of my favorite teammates of all time. Like people ask me all the time in interviews, like, "Oh, who's one of your favorite teammates?" Carly Lloyd, easy. And it's not just because of her work ethic, but also because of the kind of person that she is. And so just being able to catch up with her at TST was just kind of cherry on top, being able to catch up with her. So I would have to say Carly.
That's a great answer. Sorry I didn't ask that question. I just figured you've been asked that question so many times
No
that like
worries, no worries. Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on the show. Good luck to you. keep training, stay in shape. We need you back in TST in 2026 and then in 2045 when you have your own team of McDonald's.
Absolutely. Yes, we'll be there. Me and my little tribe. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.